CIA warned kids were at scene of Kabul drone strike before missile hit.
Here's a summary of the article.
The CIA issued a warning that children may be at the scene of the botched U.S. drone strike in Kabul just seconds before the missile hit the car, killing 10 innocent civilians, according to a bombshell report. Head of U.S. Central Command General Frank McKenzie said in Friday's press conference the U.S. carried out the strike in the earnest belief it was preventing an imminent threat to Americans and Afghans evacuating Kabul airport during the U.S.'s withdrawal from the country. Reports that a warning came too late to stop the strike leaves many questions still unanswered, in particular the exact timeline of the intel and how it was passed through the chain of command versus the timeline of the operative launching the missile and it hitting its target. It is further my assessment that the strike team at the time of the strike was convinced the area was clear of civilians and they had taken prudent steps in weaponeering the strike to minimize civilian casualties. As he pulled into the driveway of the home he shared with his family and 3 of his brother's families, several of his children and his brother's children ran out to greet him, according to family members. The strike set off a large secondary explosion, which officials originally claimed was evidence the car was indeed carrying explosives. The drone strike followed a devastating suicide bombing by the Islamic State group, a rival of the Taliban, that killed 169 Afghans and 13 U.S. military personnel at one of the gates to the Kabul airport.
This post received a score of 3,200, with an upvote ratio of 93%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
As is tradition, I guess.
Yeah, this whole thing is like a perfect microcosm of the war. A terrorist attack occurs, we go in hot for massive retaliation despite shitty intelligence and the near certainty of collateral damage. We fuck everything up for a bunch of people who have nothing to do with it. They hate us. We issue limp dick apology.
Greater than we issue limp dick apology. Don't forget that a news agency needed to conduct their own investigation to prove that those killed were innocent. Us military was pretty content with killing 10 civilians and branding few of them terrorists to justify their terrorist attack.
US wasn't too keen when WikiLeaks revealed a US airstrike killed 2 journalists in a van in Iraq, 2 kids and 9 other people. A colleague said the US lied.
Now Assange is in jail and those who order to kill children and journalists are probably either working at a high rank in military or getting fat checks from defense contractors. Us media which cries about freedom of press is mostly silent over Assange. The rot is deep.
Well, they cry about freedom of press when their party isn't in charge. Pretty big difference.
The press manufacturing public consent for foreign interventionist wars predates the current retarded populist conservative movement who pretends to care about it. Noam Chomsky was talking about this 40 years ago and it has nothing to do with a domestic bias toward liberalism.
Imagine if any other country did a drone strike on the USA and killed a bunch of civilians, people would lose their fucking minds. I don't get why America can just do this as if it's totally normal.
Because WTF are you gonna do about it? US government.
Take flying lessons but not landing lessons?
That reminds me. Gotta finish that Netflix docu.
They just had to do one last war crime before leaving Afghanistan. What a fitting way to end a 2-decade shitshow.
And as usual, nothing will happen except maybe some low-level guys will lose their jobs. Oopsie, I guess.
What better punishment than a sincere apology? Fuck the US.
Osama bin Laden wrote a sincere apology letter to the U.S., but it got lost in the USPS.
Ted Kaczynski mailed his apology letter. I heard it was warmly received.
Greater than 3 sources said the urgent warning came just moments too late, after the military launched the Hellfire missile and just seconds before it struck. That's a weird coincidence.
Fire. Oh wait. Came before it hit but after it was launched.
Tracked for 8 hours, 34 seconds between launch and impact.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.